Life is complex. Join us for the simple gifts of wisdom, love, and delight in the written word. Nothing Gold Can Stay by Robert Frost. Nature's first green is gold, her hardest hue to hold. Her early leaf's a flower, but only so an hour. Then leaf subsides to leaf. So Eden sank to grief, so dawn goes down to day. Nothing gold can stay. Leaves Compared with Flowers by Robert Frost. A tree's leaves may be ever so good, so may its bark, so may its wood, but unless you put the right thing to its root, it will never show much flower or fruit. But I may be one who does not care ever to have tree bloom or bear. Leaves for smooth and bark for rough, leaves and bark may be tree enough. Some giant trees have blooms so small they might as well have none at all. Late in life I have come on fern. Now lichens are due to have their turn. I bade men tell me which in brief, which is fairer, flower or leaf. They did not have the wit to say, leaves by night and flowers by day. Leaves and bark to lean against and hear in the dark. Petals I may have once pursued, leaves are all my darker mood. Mending Wall by Robert Frost. Something there is that doesn't love a wall, that sends the frozen groundswell under it and spills the upper boulders in the sun, and makes gaps even two can pass abreast. The work of hunters is another thing. I have come after them and made repair where they have left not one stone on a stone, but they would have the rabbit out of hiding to please the yelping dogs. The gaps, I mean. No one has seen them made or heard them made, but at spring mending time we find them there. I let my neighbor know beyond the hill, and on a day we meet to walk the line and set the wall between us once again. We keep the wall between us as we go. To each the boulders that have fallen, to each. And some are loaves, and some so nearly balls we have to use a spell to make them balance. Stay where you are until our backs are turned. We wear our fingers rough with handling them. Oh, just another kind of outdoor game, one on a side. It comes to little more. There where it is we do not need the wall. He is all pine, and I am apple orchard. My apple trees will never get across and eat the cones under his pines, I tell him. He only says, good fences make good neighbors. Spring is the mischief in me, and I wonder if I could put a notion in his head. Why do they make good neighbors? Isn't it where there are cows? But here there are no cows. Before I built a wall, I'd ask to know what I was walling in or walling out, and to whom I was like to give offense. Something there is that doesn't love a wall, that wants it down. I could say elves to him, but it's not elves exactly, and I'd rather he said it for himself. I see him there bringing a stone grasped firmly by the top in each hand, like an old stone savage armed. He moves in darkness, as it seems to me, not of woods only and the shade of trees. He will not go behind his father's saying, and he likes having thought of it so well he says again, good fences make good neighbors. 'Tis the gift to be simple, 'tis the gift to be free, 'tis the gift to come down where we ought to be, and when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, we will not be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning, we come round right. Life is complex. Join us for the simple gifts of wisdom, love, and delight in the written word. In Time of Cloudburst by Robert Frost. Let the downpour roil and toil. The worst it can do to me is carry some garden soil a little nearer the sea. 'Tis the world-old way of the rain when it comes to a mountain farm to exact for a present gain a little of future harm. And the harm is none too sure, for when all that was rotted rich shall be in the end scoured poor, when my garden has gone down ditch. Some force has but to apply, and summits shall be immersed, the bottom of seas raised dry, the slope of the earth reversed. Then all I need do is run to the other end of the slope, and on tracks laid new to the sun begin all over to hope. Some worn old tool of my own will be turned up by the plow, the wood of it changed to stone, but as ready to wield as now. May my application so close to so endless a repetition not make me tired and morose and resentful of man's condition. Desert Places by Robert Frost. Snow falling and night falling fast, oh fast, in a field I looked into going past, and the ground almost covered smooth in snow, but a few weeds and stubble showing last. The woods around it have it is theirs. All animals are smothered in their lairs. I am too absent-spirited to count. The loneliness includes me unawares. And lonely as it is, that loneliness will be more lonely ere it will be less. A blanker whiteness of benighted snow with no expression, nothing to express. They cannot scare me with their empty spaces between stars, on stars where no human race is. I have it in me so much nearer home to scare myself with my own desert places. On the Heart's Beginning to Cloud the Mind by Robert Frost. Something I saw, or thought I saw, in the desert at midnight in Utah, looking out of my lower berth at moonlit sky and moonlit earth. The sky had here and there a star. The earth had a single light afar, a flickering, human, pathetic light that was maintained against the night, it seemed to me, by the people there with a God-forsaken brute despair. It would flutter and fall in half an hour, like the last petal off a flower, but my heart was beginning to cloud my mind. I knew a tale of a better kind. That far light flickers because of trees. The people can burn it as long as they please, and when their interests in it end, they can leave it to someone else to tend. Come back that way a summer hence, I should find it no more, no less intense. I pass, but scarcely pass, no doubt, when one will say, let us put it out. The other, without demur, agrees. They can keep it burning as long as they please. They can put it out whenever they please. One looks out last from the darkened room at the shiny desert with spots of gloom that might be people and are but cedar, have no purpose, have no leader, have never made the first move to assemble, and so are nothing to make her tremble. She can think of places that are not thus without indulging a, not for us. Life is not so sinister grave. Matter of fact has made them brave. He is husband, she is wife. She fears not him, they fear not life. They know where another light has been, and more than one to theirs akin. But earlier out for bed tonight, so lost on me in my surface flight. This I saw when waking late, going by at railroad rate, looking through wreaths of engine smoke, far into the lives of other folk. 'Tis the gift to be simple, 'tis the gift to be free, 'tis the gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, we will not be ashamed. To turn, turn will be our delight, till by turning, turning, we come round right. Life is complex. Join us for the simple gifts of wisdom, love, and delight in the written word. The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both and be one traveler. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that, the passing there had worn them, really, about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh somewhere, ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near, between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sound's the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. A Late Walk by Robert Frost. When I go up through the mowing field, the headless aftermath, smooth laid like thatch with the heavy dew, half closes the garden path. And when I come to the garden ground, the whir of sober birds up from the tangle of withered weeds is sadder than any words. A tree beside the wall stands bare, but a leaf that lingered brown, disturbed, I doubt not, by my thought, comes softly rattling down. I end not far from my going forth, by picking the faded blue of the last remaining aster flower, to carry again to you. 'Tis the gift to be simple, 'tis the gift to be free, 'tis the gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, we will not be ashamed. To turn, turn will be our delight, till by turning, turning, we come round right. Life is complex. Join us for the simple gifts of wisdom, love, and delight in the written word. The Trial by Existence by Robert Frost. Even the bravest that are slain shall not dissemble their surprise on waking to find valor reign, even as on earth in paradise. And where they sought without the sword wide fields of asphodel fore'er, to find that the utmost reward of daring should be still to dare. The light of heaven falls whole and white, and is not shattered into dyes. The light forever is morning light. The hills are verdured pasture-wise. The angel hosts with freshness go, and seek with laughter what to brave. And binding all is the hushed snow of the far distant breaking wave. And from a cliff top is proclaimed the gathering of the souls for birth, the trial by existence named, the obscuration upon earth. And the slant spirits trooping by in streams and cross and counter streams can but give ear to that sweet cry for its suggestions of what dreams. And the more loitering are turned to view once more the sacrifice of those who for some good discerned will gladly give up paradise. And a white shimmering concourse rolls toward the throne to witness there the speeding of devoted souls, which God makes his especial care. And none are taken but who will, having first heard the life read out that opens earthward, good and ill, beyond the shadow of a doubt. And very beautifully God limns, and tenderly life's little dream, but naught extenuates or dims, setting the thing that is supreme. Nor is there wanting in the press some spirit to stand simply forth, heroic in its nakedness against the uttermost of earth. The tale of earth's unhonored things sounds nobler there than 'neath the sun, and the mind whirls, and the heart sings, and a shout greets the daring one, but always God speaks at the end. One thought in agony of strife the bravest would have by for friend, the memory that he chose the life, but the pure fate to which you go admits no memory of choice, or the woe were not earthly woe, to which you give the assenting voice. And so the choice must be again, but the last choice is still the same. And the awe passes wonder then, and a hush falls for all acclaim. And God has taken a flower of gold and broken it, and used therefrom the mystic link to bind and hold spirit to matter, till death come. 'Tis of the essence of life here, though we choose greatly, still to lack the lasting memory at all clear, that life has for us on the rack nothing but what we somehow chose. Thus are we wholly stripped of pride in the pain that has but one close, bearing it crushed and mystified. Reluctance by Robert Frost. Out through the fields and the woods, and over the walls I have wended. I have climbed the hills of view, and looked at the world, and descended. I have come by the highway home, and lo, it is ended. The leaves are all dead on the ground, save those that the oak is keeping to ravel them one by one, and let them go scraping and creeping out over the crusted snow, when others are sleeping. And the dead leaves lie huddled and still, no longer blown hither and thither. The last lone aster is gone. The flowers of the witch hazel wither. The heart is still aching to seek, but the feet question, whither? Ah, when to the heart of man was it ever less than a treason to go with the drift of things, to yield with a grace to reason, and bow and accept the end of a love or a season? 'Tis the gift to be simple, 'tis the gift to be free, 'tis the gift to come down where we ought to be, and when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, we will not be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning, we come round right.